Hi, and welcome to Deep Dialogues, 12 extraordinary conversations I'm having with amazing female soul stewards who at this time are transmitting their unconditional love, empathy, and compassion about the creation of a new level of living, and therefore helping us to form ideas about a brave new world that we can create together. Have a wonderful time listening in. We're live.
We're
And there are
live.
lots of wonderful, aloha, lots of
Hello.
wonderful, this is Kristin Lotovsky, who's
Oh,
saying,
yes.
hello. And Dirish is there. It was burned before she closed. Oh, it was burned before it was burned before. I thought it was after. And there's Sue. You see, we have people, there's wonderful Sue Lloyd-Roberts, who is from Cape Town, so we have people, and Lisa in London, and Katarina in Stockholm. We have people, this wonderful person called Isis.
Hello,
saying,
hello.
And Sarah all the way from Oregon. Oh my gosh, I can't go on, can I? There's just so many exciting people here. So welcome. And I know people will just, sort of scroll in and say welcome as we are. But Louise and I will begin because we're 3 minutes past our hour, I know, or our half hour. So welcome to everybody. And of course, particularly a huge welcome to the wonderful Louise. With great
aloha, aloha.
Wow, that's so beautiful. So all of the ancestors come streaming in. Again, you've just immediately tuned me into the core of the wonderful islands of Hawaii. Thank you so much for that. Thank you. We feel blessed by that beautiful chant. So may I just formally introduce you for those people who are unfamiliar? Because I have your bio in front of me. So I'm just going to formally introduce. So everybody meet the wonderful Louise Mita. Louise is president and CEO of the Tower of Energy and founder of Integrative Quantum Medicine. She has studied metaphysical alchemy and the martial arts since 1968, teaching her own trademark philosophies since 1998. Her background includes the parapsychic sciences, Reiki, Tai Chi, Qigong, Feng Shui, Hawaiiana, Kendo, Kung Fu, Aikido, Hapkido, Jeet Kune Do, and Shokondo. Her focus is upon the practical application of these energy systems into our daily lives, and she has taught these processes internationally. In the year 2000, Louise was invited to become the managing director of the Quincy Jones Listen Up Foundation, traveling to South Africa and Europe in order to fulfill Mr. Jones's commitment to the former President Nelson Mandela to build 100 homes in Johannesburg. So we're dealing with a lady that has a vast span of the planet and all of the wonderful experiences that she's had over the years. So, a formal welcome to you.
Thank you. My honor to be with you.
Oh, bless you. It's a great joy that you're here. And, as I was sharing with Louise earlier on, but I'll repeat to all of you wonderful people. Hi, Jackie. Hi, Katie and Jean. There are people from all over the world, which is wonderful. That many of you have been so loyal to this series. And of course, as we know, Louise is the 12th participant in the series of female soul stewards that I was inspired to seduce, invite into being with me during these hour-long dialogues. If we go over the hour, it will always be meaningful. We'll see how our energies flow. And so please feel free that when we, we'll cook up some energy for you, everybody. And then when you feel free, please just simply write questions into the chat box and I'll try and find a way of being able to process them as easily as possible. So now, Louise, we're living in radical times. Could you share with us this extraordinary wisdom of the Tao that you have gained over the years, and how you feel it is specifically applicable to our lives in this time of extraordinary social phenomenon.
It's my pleasure to be able to share some of my thoughts, my feelings about all of this. It is an extraordinary time. I think foremost to acknowledge what Mother Nature has done as far as regulating things, taking charge of the way we as human beings have perhaps misbehaved over time. And for all the wonderful Greta Thunbergs, there would not be enough of us to be able to halt the destruction that had been going on. So Mother Nature said, all of you, go to your room and do not come out. Go sit and have a think about all of this. And she sorted herself within weeks. It's extraordinary. You know that you and I would never have seen this restoration in our lifetime, let alone our grandchildren's lifetime. So this is amazing what has happened. And with that has come a current of uncertainty for so many. The uncertainty can either be framed in fear, in anticipation, in excitement, in wonderment. There is a no longer waiting type of a thing. We spoke about patience briefly, and people do not have the patience any longer to sit back and wait for someone else to fix it for them, which is a good thing. People are taking charge. People are stepping forward, stepping into their power, looking for their power, knowing that nobody's looking after you if it isn't you. So don't wait. And the fact that people are able to take action is so, it's empowering indeed, but it's so exciting because it's inspiring. And we inspire each other. We inspire brothers and sisters and people who are different from us, people who are the same. We put down the fighting in many places. We raise the fighting in many places. So the poles are definitely showing themselves. The polarity is showing itself. And the exciting part is that it is exciting. It is not a time of complacency. There is no longer that blasé attitude and the carelessness. No, people actually care. They care vigorously. They care vigilantly. They care with passion, and they care lovingly. And of course, the idea is if we can bring as much love into into our world as much as possible, the harmony will once again be able to unite all of us. But you know, I see that we are going through quite a bit of turmoil, and that's part of the process. That is all part of the process. So again, with this upheaval, everything's still up in the air. Things have not settled yet. So, you know, some of us are waiting to see where it goes. Some of us are dodging as things are falling down. But we have never had a time like this, unprecedented times. And the most important thing is to take control of, number one, take control of yourself, being able to be self-sufficient, sovereign, realizing that no one's doing this for you. If you can maintain some sense of peace within, then pretty much we can handle whatever happens. We have no answers. We have no answers. And that's the nature of this lovely situation right now. There's no one answer. There's an answer for everyone that will suit them depending on your preference. There's a theory for everyone's, there's a conspiracy theory for everyone. There's a a scientific theory for everyone. There's a logical theory for everyone. That, you know, for whatever suits you, you can find something. But the main thing is you gotta find you. You, at this time, you have got to be centered so that you can hear all these options and decide if any of these pertain to you or none at all do. None
Beautiful.
fit.
Beautiful. And in many of our conversations, we, you know, many of your colleagues, your soul sisters that have preceded you, have been saying similar things about the definition of personal sovereignty. And it
Yes.
feels that this is what you're talking about. And it's wonderful, isn't it, that the celebration of personal sovereignty is a statement that reaches beyond the definition of pure ego, that if we see
Yes.
ego as being a healthy selfhood, but sovereignty goes beyond that into the realm of understanding how personal will can marry with divine will. And it seems to me that from the beginning of your description of what happened with Divine Mother saying, go to your room, that although it seemed many of us were being dismissed by establishment, go to your room, social distancing, lockdown, lockdown, that actually immediately we did this, that we turned the seeming discipline into an art form where we began to realize that there was a very deep conversation taking place within the stillness of
Yes.
what that COVID lockdown was all about.
Yes.
But you know, you come to this as you express yourself with, whenever we've had these wonderful conversations, that you come to meet me with such joy and with such love and with such beauty. And always, whatever the current of our conversation, no matter what we need to alight upon, which is often at times the darkness or the shadow complexes of our world, that you always approach it with great lightness, which I think is absolutely extraordinary. And for me, it's not an ideology for you alone, it's an embodied reality. And so this is why it's just so exquisite for me that you happen to be here to finalize this series, because I know that something very sacred is being sealed by our conversation. And how it was opened, you know, 12 weeks ago by Chloe Goodchild, who's an extraordinary embodiment, and both of you must meet at some point. She embodies the divine mother so exquisitely. However, so as I extol your virtues, I wonder, is there a particular something that you use, whether it's a thought identity, a physical experience, a meditation discipline, or a moving chant? And when because I see you moving as a chant, not just chanting, but moving, your movement is a chant. And I have a little bit of a knowledge about the fact that you started off in life as a dancer. So you have a particular resource that you call upon that allows you to feel inexorably in connection with the divine, and therefore always full of brightness, always full of light, always full of mirth, always full of joy, always full of love?
I would say all of the aforementioned things that you just talked about, I will pull from every single one, whatever it takes to stay in this zone, because the alternative is not what I'd like to experience. And we have a choice. We really have a choice. This can be a symphony and a ballet, or it can be a hockey match. And it's up to us, truly. We can live in the misery, and many do, and it's powerful. It's absolutely powerful to complain about everything, to see the negativity, to see the gap, to see the lack, to see the hate. We can do that, and there is energy in it, but there's also energy in the finding the beauty in every single moment. And I think for me, I've always felt that is something. I'm lucky. I always thought of that as being lucky. And I would say that to my kids. I said, aren't we lucky that we can see the beauty in that one leaf over there in the tree that's quivering just for us? Or look at the sunset. It isn't even one of those magnificent sunsets, but the way the dark clouds are falling, that we can see the beauty in everything. And it's it's not a forced training, it's an acceptance that actually everything is beautiful and everything can be beautiful, just as you can find ugly in everything as well, you know? But which way do I want to work? What do I want to feel like? I don't want to invest in the other stuff. It does not feel good. And it doesn't make your sense of well-being and health any better. And I want to be better. I want to be better every day. I want to feel good. I want to feel that exuberance. And I see people give up on that, which, oh, that breaks my heart. And I don't want to give up. I don't want to give up on any of that. I don't want to give up on the Pollyanna notion that love will conquer all. I mean, personally, I feel like love is the answer to everything. You have a question, the answer is love. You have a problem, the answer is love. Everything, the answer is love. So and of course, by the time you've made this many rounds around the sun, we've seen quite a bit, still the same answer. It is the same answer. It really, really is. But whatever it takes for me to feel good, I will do. I will do. The prayer, the chant, the dance, the this, the that. This morning I woke up and I was up very late and I thought, oh my goodness, I'm feeling a little, I feel tired. Okay, so I took a cold shower and then I was, and then I walked out. I'm kind of close to the ocean, so I'm very, very fortunate. And I looked out there and I went, you know what? Go back home, put my bathing suit on. I went in and I dove in. And yeah, and it was like, I'm awake, I'm alive, I feel fabulous. I feel, to feel vibrant and great. And it's what I want to feel. And especially to come and meet you. I want to feel at my best. I want to feel.
Well, bless you, bless you, bless you. Because as you speak, you share so many wisdoms with us as you speak. And for me, my mind automatically moves into the patterns of identification because you speak of great richness and great joy and also great ease. The flow of your expression is just so exquisite. And we can see how you embody the virtue of joy. And so the definition that I was just tuning into is the fact that whatever may be in the pain body, you automatically transmute into the pleasure body. And
Absolutely.
so already reaching into, that may be useful information to some of our wonderful listeners. There are a lot of beautiful people. Aloha, aloha. Florence, it's wonderful to see you. Isis, it's wonderful. Melanie, I won't say everybody. There are lots of people tuning in. And it reminded me also, apropos what you said initially in response to my first question, that at 11 o'clock this morning, I was in a childbirth.
Oh.
But one of my clients who's been working with me for many, many years, I helped to get pregnant. I don't mean that I'm the father, but I helped them both to create a baby because they were having grave difficulty. And that was quite a journey, and I won't go into the diagnostics, but it was quite a journey. And anyway, she eventually conceived, and so she said, would you, Stewart, would you be at the birth? And I said, oh my gosh, oh my God, what an honor. And she said, well, I would love you to be there because I'd love you to chant the note of my babe. And as a result of that, if your story is accurate, my cervix will expand and the babe will, What was interesting is that when she moved into the terminal level of contraction, I started chanting. The midwife looked at me rather strangely, but I carried on chanting. The note that we had discovered was the note of her unborn child. But she was having grave difficulty because the head of this beautiful girl kept hitting her pelvis. And halfway through, I thought, this is not working. And I said to her husband, who was there, who I obviously know very, very well as well, what is going to be the name of your daughter? Have you decided? And they said, yes, we're going to call her Lotus. And so I started chanting Lotus. And she whizzed back and right out. She missed the turning into the pelvis and she came right out on that really big contraction, the breath out. Anyway, so it just reminded me of the turmoil that we were speaking of about the world at the moment. And that
Yes.
evidently this is largely to do with the end cycles of one
Yeah.
way of being and one way of living. And now
Yes.
what's taking place is that the birth is taking place, which can be
Yeah.
painful and it can be stressful and it can be
Yes.
full of all sorts of eruptions. And then suddenly there is this wonderful flow and the child comes out. And of course, the
Ah,
child was weeping beautifully, was crying beautifully rather, and was placed immediately on her mother's bosom. And it was just, oh, it was such a hallowed moment. But again,
yes.
this other aspect that you shared was there was great stillness.
Mm, mm,
Suddenly in the room, we knew that we were in the presence of that moment of life-giving, which was just so exquisite. And, I noticed that there were, seeing spirit in the way that I do, I could see the angels were there.
absolutely. And this is the stillness that I think we've been put in with this idea of quarantine or with this idea of isolation. We are so busy all the time. We have been busy for decades and getting busier and busier. And the idea of multitasking has been championed. Whereas now the idea of being able to do one thing at a time, to me, has value. Can I just eat? Can I just read? Can I not do three things? Watch the news here and then cook and no, 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 no. How about see if you can do one thing without your mind wandering off to something else as well? To me, now that is the challenge. So this stillness before the birth is what we're all experiencing. And as you said, that moment, as the chrysalis, it's uncomfortable as we try to break through, and this caterpillar is just too big for, and then when it breaks through and the wings start to expand and we start to fly, we're still in this cocoon right now, trying to get through, and we're punching at it and we're tearing at it, and it's uncomfortable. But that calling of Lotus's name, you identified her, you gave her the respect, you gave her the, hey, not just come out and we love you and we're ready for you. No, you specifically, you, Lotus, darling,
Yeah.
you are the one. And she said, okay, I wasn't going to come out until you knew my name. And then when you declared it, she says, all right, I will enter into the world. And how beautiful. So when we identify what it is, and perhaps what is that name? What is the word? Maybe that's it. Maybe if we can identify that, oh, it's love. We've got love. Yeah, let me come in with, then everything will settle. Then everything will come together. Then everything, at least for ourselves, at least for each one of us as an individual, I think it has been so liberating, because the things that used to be the important things in our lives that we always did, your nails, your hair, your things, I mean, my goodness, I used to do what I live without this. And wow, I love my natural nails, and I love being able to do so many of those things, or to do without so many of those things that you automatically do. It's extraordinary how refreshing, and it feels like a new birth. It feels like a rebirth into this world with new eyes, new values, suddenly looking around and seeing what's important, realizing I didn't see that tree there yesterday. Well, it's been there, obviously. All of these types of things. And to be able to look at these things with that wonderment and excitement is what life is about.
Yeah.
Truly.
So it feels that by virtue of what you're saying, it's about a redefinition of values. That because of the stillness, we're looking into, well, is this necessary?
Yes.
Even if it's as simple as you were saying, of, do I need to constantly have my nails manicured?
Yes.
Or do I constantly need to attend in this way? That there's a reevaluation of the way that process works. And of course, you are a lady of great beauty, and so of course we know that your nails are going to be your nails are going to be how can we put it, aesthetically in order, but at the same time how you've been able to flexibilize what the values are all about. And of course, as soon as we start dealing with our bodies, because we are spiritual beings within a human form, then we begin to also acquire or inquire of the broader values within the macroscope, the
Yes,
values in our world. And of course, that's particularly what's happening in the United States of America. I am
indeed.
very aware of the fact that you're speaking from the islands of Hawaii.
Yes.
And so therefore you are in a realm that many of our people, our dear ones, hi Lee, wonderful to see you here, that many of our peoples are thinking with much, I'm not going to say envy, but with much desire that we, that they would love to be in Hawaii because it's such an extraordinarily special area geographically and energetically. The magic of Hawaii is so profound, and therefore you are living within the soul of Hawaii. How is it? How does it enrich in your life? And of course, how does it imbue within your work?
Well, it is an extraordinary place, and it's 2,500 miles away from any major landmass. So the fact that it is isolated unto itself in this way is fascinating. Is it inaccessible easily? Part of the magic? Is it deliberate as placed by upper management in this way? What is it about it? The interesting thing with Hawaii on the political 25 words or less bit is that it was illegally obtained and there was an overthrow of the queen, and the Hawaiian people have wanted sovereignty and this be its own nation for quite a while. Well, in the process of what's happening, sovereignty is happening. There, the reliance on tourism has been the economy for decades, and because of COVID, and the doors had opened for a minute and then they shut down, and they seem to be shutting down pretty tight right now. It almost looks like it did in the 70s, where you're not seeing this kind of traffic. You're not seeing the influx of people coming and going every single day. It's mostly the people who live here. And the fascinating thing is that the economy has always depended upon importing things. Why would we import bananas? Why would we import eggs? Why would we import anything that we could grow here? So the globalization of the United States has forced the sugar industry and the pineapple industry out of Hawaii. Are you kidding? That's sort of insane. And the best beef that could possibly be grown is on one of the islands, which just a small portion is sold locally. It's all exported to the mainland. So now, because of the difficulty of all of that, we are realizing the sovereignty factor has to do with, from the ground up, we need to be sovereign from our food, from our trade of labor and skills. This is not something that we're going to ship off to China and have it done cheaper, because there's no shipping. We're not doing that anymore. There's no importing of things easily. Things are taking 2, 3, 4 times as long. So food is not going to come fresh in that way. I mean, how frozen can you possibly be? But we realize we can create it all here. So that has been a fascinating factor in the big picture of the magic of what Hawaii is. What I realized, though, is as postcard beautiful and magical as Hawaii appears to the world, and it is, I can't deny that it is. But if you look in your own city and your own home, your own town, country, village, you have that same remarkable postcard, but you've never looked at that one. You're looking at the one over here. When I travel and I go to England, I am fascinated. When I go to Spain, it's extraordinary. When I'm in Switzerland, it's magical. Everything from the way people think, to the music, to the food, to the customs, to the hospitality, everything is unique unto itself. And they say, wait, you're from Hawaii. Why would you come here? Why would you come here? And often some people who live in Hawaii take it for granted as well, because it's home. Just like we all take it for granted, because you're home. Wherever you live, oh, it's home. Oh, that's just mom. That's just. Now is an opportunity for us to open our eyes and take a look at our wonderful, magical paradise and regain that love for it. Fall in love again. Fall in love with the postcard that we would send to somebody else, and they'd say, oh my gosh, how amazing it is. You have all of this and you have all of that. We have the opportunity to reframe our norm. And as you say, with this idea of us being insulated, or we've had the opportunity to reevaluate our values. Indeed, relationships are taking a different twist. People who have been together as institutions for decades are finding out that we can handle each other in small doses, because you go to work and you travel and you this and that, but to live together 24/7 with each other, wait a minute, I don't like you. I really don't like you. And perhaps it is wonderful that people come to the realization of this. And if they can re-engage, fabulous. If it's time to move on, fabulous. But we don't have to live a lie, and we don't have to pretend that these snippets are sufficient to make a family and to have a lifetime together, because that isn't a lifetime together. You add up those hours, or the actual true engagement, which is going to be less than the hours clocked in. Why bother? So this has been liberating for so many people. I know many people, oh my God, did you hear who broke up, and the this and the that, and it shakes their turf to see someone else who has represented stability and constant and the ideal family, and for them to fall apart is like, oh my gosh, what? But this is such a time of reckoning. It is such a time it is such a time of truth. They say hindsight is 2020. And when we say 2020, hindsight, oh, well, that's accuracy, that's clarity, that's truth, well, this is 2020. So the big reveal is here. We're living it.
When you tune into the magical currency of the energy of Hawaii, how does it inform your work? Because you know it so well, but I'm privileged to the fact that you give me a little bit of information about former life and how you were brought up in New York City, even though your mother was Hawaii, and then you returned, of course. So how does the magic inform you?
There is a subtlety in the magic of Hawaii, because it is all based in nature. It is the five elements: the fire, the sun, the earth, of course, the land, the metal, the mountains and rocks and the minerals of the land, the trees, this wood factor, and the water. We're surrounded by water. These aspects are everything. They are prevalent in Hawaii. It's clear that we as humans are the visitor to this amazing piece of Mother Nature. And the Mother Nature aspects in Hawaiian culture are alive. They are to whom we extend our prayers. They are to whom we are guided. There are things that are called a ho'ailona. A ho'ailona is a sign. So when we are out and doing something lovely or having lovely thoughts, and suddenly there's a slight mist of rain, we take that as a ho'ailona, a sign from the gods, the elementals, the devas, the all of upper management. Ah, that was, you're doing something right. You're doing something right. And we listen, and we listen without great celebration and acknowledgement and this, that, and the other. It was very interesting. In the very beginning, when I started that chant, it's a bit of a longer chant, and it was a welcoming chant, a greeting chant to say, basically, I'm so happy to see you. And I got the sign, no, cut it short and just say the end part, the Allah. And I listen rather than feeling like, no, wait, I need to finish my chant. I didn't complete my chant. No. And so we get the signs so often. It's as if you have Big Brother over there giving you a slap. Hey, then you, okay. And they're so obvious, they're so potent that you can't ignore them. You can't ignore them. When you choose to, I'm going to go over here, and then everything stops you. You don't feel like, it's a bad day and I want to go there, and now you've messed up my day. You acknowledge right away, ooh, sign, don't go over there. You're being saved. You are, so you hear the magic of the land. You hear the voices of these gods. You hear the signs that are given to you. When you get parking right in front of where you're going, because you petitioned the parking gods, of course, you know you're doing something right. And it reinforces the good karma that we're always trying to reap. We are, and of course, I say we as if all of us do this. All of us who are woke do this.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Just all of us who are woke everywhere do what we do.
Yeah.
But it's visceral, because you can feel it in the elements. The elements are so alive. And so that is the magic that we experience. With going through a situation, there's still wrestling with the notion that a telescope needs another telescope. They've got 1630 of them up on, they want a 30-meter telescope, the 13th or 14th on this sacred mountain that the people consider sacred. But others say, scientists or say, no, we want to build another one, which is hurting this beautiful sacred mountain. That who is to say you don't think that this is sacred and it's okay for you to come and drill and pound and build something else so you can see one more mile out into space? It makes no sense. And the Hawaiian people are crushed. They are hurt. It would be like coming and go to Stonehenge, and we need to build an observatory there because. So in that way, on the other side of the same island, the volcano went off a couple of years ago and made her presence known. And they say that the goddess of the volcanoes is Madame Pele. And she made her voice heard, her statement made. Those who were woke said, ooh, you're lucky she didn't come and take down all of these telescopes you already have. So pay attention. Pay attention. Are you serious? So people, and even the ones who are kind of half woke, are making the connection, saying, "What? How? Oh my gosh! Is this a sign? Yeah, yeah, it's a sign." So the magic here is like that. It's vibrant. It's alive in that way.
And we know that, of course, there are other areas of the world that have their own unique magic. But and I don't wish to diminish what you're sharing with me, but just to expand the ideas and the feelings that we're sensing as you speak, because as you speak, you radiate the form of the essence that you're describing. In these magical places like Hawaii, it seems that in your definition that we are made more present if we are woke. We are made more present to the vitality of the natural world. And as a result of that, life becomes even more exquisitely alert to
Yes.
the substance of the interrelationships between ourselves and the other sentient forms of life, as you were saying earlier, whether it be represented through the different elements or, you know, earth, water, air, and fire, and how there are these extraordinary coincidences, these points of synchronicity where suddenly something very remarkable happens. And
Yes.
actually, what's interesting is that it seems to me that although one spirit is led to be in Hawaii, whether by living there or by visiting, as soon as we arrive, there is the invocation of, I am here because I wish to be part of the interconnectedness of what
Yes.
Hawaii is all about, or of what paradise is all about. And automatically spirit engages with us. We don't
Yes.
have to work at, please guide, show me the way. No, the answers, if we have the wit to see them, the answers come.
Yes.
This is very refreshing because we begin to feel the utter communion between all of the elements within our bodies, the earth, the water, the air and the fire, the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual.
Yes.
And suddenly all of the spirit guardians of Hawaii come in. I know that people are leaving wonderful comments and saying how they are in concurrence with you, you know, and it's, Melanie is just pointing out, it's actually all about interconnectivity. So,
Yes.
you know, this is what, for me, why it's such a wonderful celebration to have you with us today as we complete this series of deep dialogues, Female Soul Stewards, because actually your energy is reminding us of the healing that needs to take place throughout the whole of the world as we begin to establish the interconnectivity of our peoples. And as you were sharing with us, actually the only instrument that can possibly lead us, the key that can lead us to this interconnectivity is being love, is turning up for love and
Yes.
living that love. It is so
Yes.
simple, and it is hidden within us. It's not on the outside of us. It's hidden
No.
within us, so to speak. You know, and I'm reminded of that wonderful Hopi prophecy of, I'm going, you know, God says, I'm going to put this special element before the human and the animal kingdom arrive, and they say, no, 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 no. And the owl says, no, 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 don't do it that way. And the eagle says, no, no, don't do that. No, no, no. And eventually, I think it's the mole who says, no, put it inside them. Put it inside them. They'll have to then find a way of rediscovering.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. You know, and it's really interesting because, as you say, this interconnectivity, the Hawaiians believe, and in the culture believes, that we are the stewards of the land. We don't own the land. We are here to take care of the land. And this includes all of Mother Earth. And if we do a good job, she will take care of us. We have misinterpreted this into thinking, oh, we own this, so let's break this down and build what I want for my comfort and take over the land, instead of the integration. What's really interesting about Hawaii is when people come with that attitude, and as you say, you land here and you feel this wonderful connection, or you come with this intention, and, you know, cut back hundreds of years when people came and said to someone who had been on this land, who owns this land? They said, well, nobody owns the land. We, you know, we take care of that. Oh, you don't own it? Good. I own it now. Get off my land. And so this has been the horror story for decades, for a couple of centuries, with colonization, et cetera, et cetera. But the funny thing is, now people who will come ill-intended to come in and say, well, you know, I'm going to take on they don't know, and I'm gonna, the land doesn't accept them. It's not the people, the land doesn't accept them. Things happen, and mysteriously sinkholes, or mysteriously the flood, and mysteriously everything collapses. And it is not at the hand of a fellow human. It is the land that will kick you off. And they say, oh, it was just the most horrible experience being in Hawaii. I never want to go there. It just, da, da, da. And there was no way, and la la. So I bow to the land because as a girl raised in New York, in a completely different concrete jungle, when I first came to Hawaii at 21, I remember thinking, aloha, what's this aloha? You know, I got your aloha right here, what you trying to sell? And quickly I was indoctrinated into, no, little girl, no. You know, you want to be here, you better straighten up really quick. And the humility one is taught is so, it's quick and it is undeniable. And sometimes you are spared the embarrassment of everybody finding out about it, but you know it and you go, whoa, let me turn this down a few notches and pull my act together here. And then you realize that, hey, this is magical. I don't care how cynical I am. There's magic here I don't understand, but I am not going to cross that line because I got slapped the first time, I got whacked the second time, third time, it's not going to be pretty. And to be able to be humbled by this beauty, wow, that's, you know,
yes,
truly it's lovely.
It's fascinating, isn't it? Because the you know, I do believe that the islands that we're speaking of, and the islands of the South Seas, were very much part of the former civilization that we know as Lemuria, and that the Lemurian peoples, in the teachings that I've received from the angels of Atlantis, are often referred to as being the angels of the ocean that appear when most needed. And it seems that, you know, they perhaps have been leaving us alone for a long period of time, just simply to see how big the ego of man is in terms of, this is going to be my land, rather than, as you were saying, the beautiful stewardship. And now that whole balance is being redressed, because if someone arrives rather in the arrogance or the conceit that you were talking about, that automatically something unconscionable starts happening from the islands, from the natural order. And so it shows, isn't it? It's rather like that wonderful moment in the movie Avatar, where the goddess, the queen, who has the ability of great seership, there's a very stark moment where there is this awareness that Mother Nature will never intervene in the free will choices of man, no matter how light or dark they are. And then suddenly the pitch of the horrendous nature of the darkness from the beings, the American beings that are taking over the land, that literally awakens within the animal kingdom, within the sentient life of the animal kingdom, and automatically the animal kingdom join the human force. Nature is evoked. If you were to choose 3 principles that has informed you, that you have been informed by from the land, or they have enhanced already recognized knowledge within your own spirit, within your own soul, that you feel would be useful to us today, what would be the 3 principles that pour out of Hawaii, that pour out of your experience?
One, that we are stewards of this planet. 2, that we are interconnected with all species, The rock, the tree, the ocean, the air, they are my family. And 3, it is my duty to be of service to them, as it is my duty to be of service to you, to my fellow man, to animals. I am here in service, and that is perhaps the number 1 of those 3 principles I would follow. There's a proverb that says, if you want to be happy for an hour, take a nap. If you want to be happy for a day, go fishing. If you want to be happy for a month, get married. And if you want to be happy for the rest of your life, serve others.
Mm. Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah. So, and we find, you know, it's everybody experiences this. When you're hired for a job, you're given this much money. Sometimes you gauge what you do according to that. And they say, well, I'm only getting paid minimum wage, so I'm not going to go out of my way. But if you ask a favor of your friend and say, could you help me? They can't do enough for you. They do this, and then they do more, and they do more, and they do more. So when we come from a place of service, we are doing our best to do what? To show our love. To show our love. Oh, wait, I got more love. Hold on. Wait, I can do it. Wait, let me do a little bit more. I can do a little bit more. Hold on. Wait, I thought of something you didn't think of. Let me do this for you. It's extraordinary. And coming from a place of love, I think what happens for people is sometimes we have so much love that we need to express, that we want to express, and there are not situations or people that are receiving it, accepting it, to us, worthy of it. And then we get constipated with love because we're holding it. We want to give it to somebody, but there's nobody to give it to. Who can I give my love to? And of course, this is what's wonderful about animals. We can just love our little animals to be, they bite you and you still love them. They scratch you and you still love them, because there's that unconditional thing. And that's what we want. We want to be able to, we want to give love. It's not that we want to receive love. We want to give it because we all have so much. And it's the holding back of love, not being able to be nice to you because you're the wrong color. Or my mother says that don't play with people. That's what kills us, is that we have to hold back our love. So the love is not so much for them, it's for you, that you can, you can be in love, in the space of love. So, you know, I'm kind of in love all the time.
Beautiful, beautiful. And as you flow, if I may say, Isis, by the way, is leaving some extraordinary things which I can't possibly begin to utter, but are obviously in Hawaii. Ua mau ki oe o ka ena a ka pono. Something.
Ua mau ke ea o ka aina I ka pono.
Okay, and I wasn't that off. Okay.
No, and no, yeah. And it's the life of the land lives forever in righteousness, And that's
I was going to ask people, because we're unfortunately moving through the last 10 minutes of our conversation, and we could go on talking for hours, I know. But I wondered if people would like to leave any questions for Louise. And Jackie, who I know is based on this island, is saying, you live on an island. Are you closer to the land, or do you feel closer to the sea?
Closer to the sea. I'm a sea person. I'm definitely a sea person. And I need water. I need water. We are water beings. We are water beings. We live on a water planet separated by land masses. And some of us, each of us has their thing. I am a water person, definitely a water person. And I feel an incredible affinity to water. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. And Lisa is asking, how can we inspire teenagers to learn about love and to love themselves and then others?
By example shall we teach, for words are hollow when we preach. Let our children see the strength it takes to go the extra length.
Wow, wow. There we are, Lisa. It seems that what we need to do is to teach by example. So we need to embody the whole substance. And maybe the first thing is to try and find a way of engaging the young ones in a greater contemplation of how they perceive the world. And, you know, okay, so what do you feel about the adult behavior of the world? And
Yeah.
then we can begin to negotiate them, because the first thing they're going to say is it's pretty ghastly
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
a lot of inappropriate choices are being made this time. But at least it then begins a conversation about how other, you know, what would they do? What is their inspiration? So they
Yeah.
begin to take responsibility for the sharing.
Yes, and for them to have something to take care of or be responsible for, because in many ways now they don't have enough responsibility. They don't know how to take care of something because we don't give them something to take care of, including themselves. So much is done. Everything is done for everyone. And yes, each generation wants more for the next generation, but sometimes we rob them of the opportunity to learn from the hardship of attaining something yourself, or struggling yourself, or having to be of service to someone. Look after your grandmother, look after an animal, look after someone who needs the help. Babysit your sister, not as a chore, but because you love that one and you'd like to impart your knowledge on that person. But I think that, you know, it's the same idea of, as I was saying, when you ask, when you do something for someone, as opposed to do something for hire, and you have a different attitude towards it, where you give, 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 give. This is the lesson of love. It's not just being the recipient of love, but to give love, to give love, to give understanding for things you don't understand, for extending ourselves, because we're in such a me generation, and we have such narcissistic ideas of me, myself, and I, and it's about me, and I'm going to video myself. Look here, I'm doing a TikTok, and it's me, me, me. They, you know, people do things. They have a thing called ASMR, where they video themselves eating pieces of food for the sound. I was like, are you kidding me? There are people starving in the world, and this is a thing. Oh my God! So we're you know, the extremes of crazy are happening indeed, but perhaps that's why all of this is happening right now.
Yes, I mean, dare I say that they're tests for us who are more sentient, perhaps, and wouldn't engage in thoughtless behavior or mindless behavior like this. That they're tests for us to be even more loving.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And see, that we have an abundance of. There's no shortage. You can't run out of love, giving love. You can't. That's the one thing that we have, an infinite commodity.
Yes, yes, yes. And I know that the magic of Hawaii and the great ancestors of Hawaii, because having experienced it myself, are teaching us constantly about the flow of love and how we can move. You know, the angels have always taught me that they love for the sake of love, whereas we human beings tend to love for the sake of being loved, which is very, rather than the, you know, the conditionality rather than the unconditionality. Very much part of a conversation I had yesterday, which we've decided that we're going to record, about mystical relationships. Dirish is asking, would you divine souls ever collaborate?
We are. We're doing this.
That's my response. And I know that I know that the joy, and I mean, thank you, Dirish, for bringing Louise back into my life, into my consciousness, because what we're referring to, everybody, is that Louise and I met probably about 12 years ago. And then Dirish and I were having a conversation, and he said, well, why don't you invite Louise? And suddenly there she was, you know. I said, oh, wow. And she fortunately agreed. Stewart, please join us in our Zoom classes. It would be wonderful to have you. This is from Kristin. Is this your Zoom classes?
Yes, and on the first weekend of every month, I do a Zoom healing. And it is, and I'll invite you next weekend if you would like.
Please do. I'd love to be there. Yes, I'd love to be there.
Yeah,
you know, I am very excited about our reconnection, because I won't go into the whole story now. The story that I shared with you of what happened in 2013 and how I was met on Maui. I was met by a kahuna who said, are you Stewart Pearce? And I said, yes. And she said, okay, good, because I saw you in a dream last evening and you look like the man that I saw in the dream. You are now to come, and we're going to initiate you into kahuna ways. Magic. So I hear you. And I know at that time a pledge was made about the role that I perform, particularly in the sound making of We Peoples, and how a pledge was made that I would help to create a rainbow-like bridge between Lemuria and Atlantis, between Atlantis and Lemuria. Not that the holy ones need it, but we humans do, because
Yes.
particularly as there is grave trauma around the completion of those two great civilizations. And obviously that trauma needs to be healed, you know. And so Louise and I will be talking about the possibility of retreats in Hawaii, everybody. So Laura says, Louise, what has been the most empowering modality you've learned to use?
Integrative quantum medicine, what I'm doing, what I'm teaching.
Which is your speciality, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes, and it's an integration of all the teachings and the learnings and the idea of being able to facilitate healing instantaneously right now. I mean, we can do something for all of our listeners, a little something at the end of this even.
Okay, let's do that. Let's do that. And Laura, don't do it right now, but I will make very public how you can connect with Louise by going to her website. And her website is beautiful because it's just been redesigned. It's absolutely exquisite. And you can see exactly what is meant by what she's just referred to in terms of quantum medicine. Okay, so lots of people are saying, great, let's have a retreat. Thank you, dearish. We'll lead the way.
Yes. Oh, can you imagine? This is going to be fun.
Unfortunately, our time has just rapidly fulfilled itself into we're moving over the time of the hour. IQM is life-changing. Yes. And Jean is saying how exciting this is. So maybe you would grace us with the energy that you were just talking about, whether it be from the richness of Hawaiian culture or the compilation that works through you, because you began our meeting with such beautiful blessings.
What I'd like to do then, if everyone will receive this chant, this closing chant, the intention of the chant is wishing you wellness, health, happiness, abundance from now until the rest of your life.
Wow.
So with this, o kaolai kia kua, e nana kaumai pula pula, e ola kaniko a haumakai ole a palalau hala, a kaui kapu ane ane. Laila lave aku o iau ke aloha kea. Mama uanoa.
Wow. Divine blessings are with all of us.
Thank you, Stewart.
Bless you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. How do people, I mean, that was just so extraordinary. You know, it feels, okay, and coming back into rational mind, how can people get hold of you?
Through my website, taoenergy.com, taoenergy.com. Visit the website and there's a way to contact me. You can email me and I will respond. This coming Saturday, this is the Zoom healing and the times are up there and people can register for that. And the conversation is about an hour and the healing ensues during that time. And I literally do a remote healing on everyone. We receive the energy and we feel it. Everybody you can bring your aches and pains and leave without them. And I look forward to speaking to everyone.
So everybody, I will make sure that Louise's email address is on this page. Thank you so much for leaving all of your comments. Oh, and Dirish is putting something up, The Art of Energy with Louise. So that's wonderful. He's already putting up in other words, he's putting up your website. So thank you so much. And
Fabulous.
bless you everybody for listening in. I will now unfortunately have to complete the call. And so, for the future, everybody, keep tuning into the newsletters. And if you're not on my newsletter list, please go to theangelsofatlantis.com and click on Stewart's Community, because there will be now a rest for a week. And then I'm moving into 12 extraordinary male soul stewards, amazing men from all over the world. It's going to be very interesting. At the moment, it's proving interesting corralling all of these men. The ladies have always been so easy and flowing and responsive. And now the men, oh, did you want me to take part? Yes, I emailed you 2 weeks ago. Oh, did you? You know, and actually just being aloof. Anyway, so farewell, everybody. Namaste, namaste, namaste.